Welcome back, guys. My name is Exeter, and today we will be reviewing the newest DLC for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Now, I find Advanced Warfare to be like a fine wine. You don't want to drink it too much because then you'll start feeling sick, and you want to take it in small increments because that's when you'll get the best flavor out of it. I find that Advanced Warfare, for me, is only best when I play it every once in a while, but when I start playing it or grinding it out, I find myself getting upset with the game, with the small issues. But when I play for like a day or a few days in a row, like 3 days, for example, of about 5 hour a day gameplay, so 15 hours of gameplay straight, I'm fine with it. It's not too boring, I'm fine with the matches, and it's entertaining. But the longer I play with it, the longer I grind it out, the more days I chain while playing this game, I find that it's really annoying and there's a lot of issues with it. So for those of you who only see the positives to this game and don't experience the bad or the annoying things so much, I'm going to explain to you the annoying things that come with every single one of these maps. Yes, I'll be talking about what's good with each map, but I'll also be talking about what is bad and just terrible with each of these maps. So I think I'll start with Compound. Now, Compound is the newest close quarter map that comes with the new, DLC and all those things like that. It's really tight, there's a lot of small rooms and tight-knit corners, but what I find most annoying about this is how in certain game modes, like Domination, where you're capturing a flag, people can come from anywhere, and now, when I say anywhere, I really mean anywhere, because there's so much elevation on this map, even for its small height. Like, people can jump over walls, they can come through windows. There's literally several places where they could either come from a middle or secondary level, so you have to look at both of them, and they could either double jump, so they end up being like 3 stories high in the air, and you have to look up at them, or they could boost slide out of the doorway on the lowest level, and then you're pretty much looking at someone who's prone. So there's really a whole bunch of ways you can get shot at while playing all these objectives. And I know it's like this with almost every map in this game, but I find because it's such close quarters, and because it's harder to aim at someone who double jumps when they're directly in front of you, compared to when they're like 10 meters away, for example, it can be really stressful trying to kill people when they are really good at the game, and know that all they have to do to kill someone in such close quarter combat is look straight down at the ground, double jump, and they'll be right on top of you and just shooting straight down at you. Now, with this game, that's just one issue within the game, just in close quarters in general, because if you double jump at someone, you're pretty much going to wreck them. But what I found is that even the long-range gunfights, they don't seem to benefit from ARs or, even sniper rifles have some trouble, even though you can snipe, as you saw from that opening transition. But I find that while playing this game, even if you shoot someone that's directly in front of you, you could kill like 2 people in front of you, you're always going to get shot in the back. So I find that on this map, turning around or always moving will help you, because let's say you're really close to a score streak, and I experienced this a few times. If you're really close to a score streak, don't stop moving and start camping, kind of waiting for them to come to you. They will come to you, but from a direction you're not looking, because honestly, with the 60-degree freaking view radius or POV, all you can really see is in front of you, 60 degrees, for example, up about, I'm going to say 2 stories, and down, up 1 story, down 1 story. So people can come from behind you, those other 300 degrees that you're not looking at. They could also come from a 3rd story and shoot down at you, which you won't be able to see. Or they can just come from your left or right, like I already said with the 300-degree thing. So if you're always moving, yes, people can still come from those areas you can't see, but at least then they might miss bullets so you can turn on them, which I see happens a lot in this game. I've done it, other people have done it to me, and that's kind of common now in this game because it's so fast-paced. Now, what do I like about Compound? Well, what I like about Compound is it doesn't experience other issues that certain maps have because of its small size. Like when you're playing a game like Domination, for example, because it's such a close quarters map, what happens is people start spawning all over the place on other maps because they're larger. But here, because it's so tight, let's say that you have A and B. So, it starts off a Domination game, your team captures A, the other team captures C. Then your team rotates to B. What the other team does is they rotate to A. So there's this constant flow and rotation of teams. And what I found was when I was playing Domination, is no team had 2 flags or the same 2 flags for longer than 10 seconds. Someone was always on the other flag, so people were switching between 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. There was never just like one team at A and one team at C. It was never like that. It was always one team at A and one team at B. Then the other team that had C would then capture A, so the team that just captured B would capture C. So the control was constantly switching, and it was like the ocean of the motion going through as players would just shift around the map, taking new sections every time. Now, if you do look at the map, which is on screen for you guys now, you can kind of see how this benefits the players because there are a lot of levels that you can see here, and I don't really like how all these levels are so large, like I said. But, for example, when it is such a close quarters map, you kind of can expect to get shot in the back all the time, so movement is key, because you can move so fast around this map. So make sure that, yes, you can check your corners and things like that, but if you are moving, you will play much better than if you're slowly walking through the map or standing still and camping. Now, one thing I kind of thought was an Easter egg at first when I saw this map is there are targets all over the place. Now, this is supposed to be a training facility used by the Atlas and, you know, everyone there. So, what I thought was like kind of like a Nuketown from Black Ops 2, where if you shoot all these targets in the head or in the body or something, as long as you shoot all of them within like a certain time or just in one game, then something will happen, like a song will play, because there aren't any screens to play Atari on. Well, what I realized was that, either one, I did it wrong and not in the right time span, or two, there's just too many targets and they didn't even plan for this whatsoever. But I really would like to know if there is some type of Easter egg or kind of mini game that pops out if you shoot all the targets, because I did shoot all the targets in one round of TDM in a private match, but I don't know if there's a certain time span because it took me the whole 10 minutes of the game and a whole bunch of other things happened. So I would really like to know that, so if you guys will let me know, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll probably research it after this video, but going into it, I have not seen anything whatsoever on the internet yet. Okay, so now that we got compounds out of the way, let's cover Parliament. So pretty much what Parliament is just a section of a boat which happens to be docked on the Bank of London, which is, you know, London. So that's why they're calling it Parliament, because you could see Big Ben and the Parliament building. That's pretty much the only reason. Or else they would probably call this Carrier, but then they're also taking the name from a map from Black Ops 2, so Parliament it is. Anyway, so for this map, there are 3 spawns. I'm going to mark them out for you, and let's throw the map on screen so you can see it. There is spawn A, spawn B, and spawn C. Now, I do not know where Sentinel or Atlas spawn. I could probably look it up, but, you know. So, I'll probably mark it there. I'll put, like, an S and A, and then I'll put the tertiary spawn, which is on shore. Now, the shore is the area which doesn't look like it's part of the boat. So, I'll also mark that for you guys as well. So, I'll put the shore in blue. Now, for all these areas, what's so interesting about it is the spawn system, because here, that's the main issue with this place, besides all these small crates and boxes which you can easily camp on and look through and shoot people through, and it's kind of weird with that, but the main issue with this map is all these little things, all these small little features which make people spawn in weird places. So what they did was they made these back areas. They made like the backmost part of the boat and the frontmost part of the boat. They made those 2 places spawns. Then they also made spawns all the way on the shore, which means that let's say your team is on the front of the boat and then you're on the shore. What that means is the enemies will spawn in the back of the boat. But here's the issue. What I started joking about was the spawn system is more of a spawn where you are not system. And the reason I say that is because let's say you're in a spawn. Let's say you're in the back of the boat. Your whole team, except for maybe 2 people, are in the back of the boat. Your other 2 teammates are on the shore. Now, you would expect that because all 6 of your team members are on the shore and the back of the boat, they would spawn in the front. But sometimes people still spawn in the back of the boat, but in different areas, like maybe on the side where your teammates aren't. So like you're more on the shore side, they'll start spawning on the opposite side, not the port side, but the opposite side, which can get really strange. Something else that happens a lot is I found myself staying alive longer than my teammates. So we would be in the middle of the boat, we'd be fighting people, we'd be looking towards the head of the boat, the front of it, and then my teammates would start getting picked off. I would still be killing people, but next thing you know, my teammates started spawning in front of me on the front of the boat, while there were still enemies there, I might add. So then, as I killed all the enemies, or as we kill all the enemies, I start getting shot in the back, because I'm from the middle of the boat, they start spawning in the back. And then they also start spawning on shore. So you can kind of see how the spawns get all interesting. Because like Compound, with its circular motion when you're playing a game mode like Domination, what happens here is the spawns are like that. The spawns are like the circular motion, where one team might have 2 spawns at one point, but then it's just going to switch where the other team gets one of those spawns, even if your teammates are still there. And that's what's really annoying about this map, because the way it's made, it's not a bad map, not at all, but because of the game mechanics when it comes to the spawn, not that it's a bad spawn system, even though it could have some work done to it, but it's because of the game mode where people move around so fast, and the gameplay is so fast-paced, that when people die, they have to choose a spawn point. And this map isn't actually very large, it's pretty small. I mean, it might look large compared to some of the other maps like Compound, but compared to Kremlin and compared to Skyrise, it's actually smaller. So when you play on this map, you're like, what the hell is happening here? Because I'm getting shot in the back, I'm getting shot on the side, there's guys spawning everywhere. I mean, what the hell is happening? Because people die so quickly. On their respawn, they're just put in places who have the least enemies, or the game thinks has the least enemies, but just when they spawn in, all the other team shifts to that location. So let's say all the enemy team is in the middle of the boat. Well, it's going to spawn you in the back of the boat. But right when it spawns you in the back of the boat, all the enemies in the middle just jump straight to the back. But they don't know you're there, you don't know they're there, you hop up, and you see 4 guys or 3 guys, and they all shoot you. You might take one of them with you, but you're likely to die in that moment unless they're all really bad. Now, that's the main issue with this map. There isn't anything besides that. There's no, map things that are really annoying. There is an airstrike that happens on the boat, which is very rare, and when it does happen, it's very easy to avoid. Just go in the middle section. You can even go, underneath a little awning, and it won't even kill you. Now, another issue this map struggles with are people camping, but I find that's actually very easy to kill campers on this map, because they're very visible and easy to see. So it's not like a guy's going to be camping in the back of the map with a sniper rifle. You won't be able to see him because he's bushwhacking in the bushes. No, it's not like that. This whole thing's a very grayscale, very industrial style map. So when someone's camping, you will see them, and even campers are very easy to avoid. So if someone is camping, you don't even have to go where they are. You could just walk around them, or just jump behind the corner, boost behind the corner, and then just avoid them the rest of the game if they really want to stay in that location. The main sections you should be worried about are really the shore, the middle of the boat, and those side areas, the flank routes on the side of the boat. Now, the flank areas I will highlight right now in green, but those flank areas, those can be really pain in the ass because people usually go through those locations the most. That and the middle of the boat. Now, there's also the small little alley, which I call the 3rd story. The reason for that is because it looks over all the rest of the areas of the boat, except for the middle and the shore. You can't see the shore, but it's the highest level of the boat, so you really have to hop up from the back of the boat. You have to hop to the middle section, then from the middle section you have to hop to this tertiary section, which is where this small little channel is. And that's probably the fastest way to get from one side to the other and look over the edge and see where all the enemies are. So, that's pretty much it for Parliament. The main issue with this one is the spawn system, which they can easily fix by kind of slowing down the pacing of the game. Now, sadly, I was never able to play some type of other, objective-style game mode on this. Even when I was playing, what's it called? The game mode where you, switch Mosh Pit. Even when I was playing Mosh Pit, I still got TDM on this map twice, even when I wasn't choosing TDM, so that was kind of weird. But anyway, so, on to the next map. Kremlin. So Kremlin is easily the largest map in this whole loadout we have here. Like all the new maps, Kremlin is the largest. Now, what makes this map annoying? Let's talk about it. What makes this map annoying are the map's dynamic elements. Now, when I say dynamic elements, I'm taking that from Ghost, where you hit a button, something happens. But here, there's 2 things. There are landmines in the middle of the map, and then there's cannons on the bridge that overlook the bridge on the 2 different buildings. Now, there's 2 different buildings in this game that come with 2 different spawns, and I will mark both of those buildings in red for you. Now, on the upper deck, so the 2nd story, where you could see these staircases leading up to some place, there are windows looking over the middle bridge. The middle bridge I will mark in blue for you right now. So that middle bridge can be kind of like a choke point, for example, because you have these turrets looking over the bridge, and you can't really go any other place except for the right and the left. So if you want to switch sides for an objective like hardpoint, for example, it's going to be a very big pain in the ass to do so, because people could just look over the bridge. But then why don't they take the left and the right? Because there seems to be cover there. It seems that people can move around and not get shot. Well, yes, you might think so, but what happens is at some random time within the game, mines come up on the right and the left of the bridge on the ground. Now, to get past these mines, it's really annoying, because you might jump over them, not even trip one of them, and they still might explode on your face just because of like the weird, coding that goes into them. So you have to be very careful about those mines. Now, the reason why they put these mines into the game is so the bridge would become the main way for people to pass through the middle of the map. But for the bridge to be the main way to pass through the middle of the map, that means if someone's camping one of the turrets, then you're screwed royally in the ass, because there are people in the windows that can easily camp with a turret that is placed by the developers. It's not even like you have to bring the turret there, or you could place like a sentry gun or something like that. No, the turret is actually there in the game. It's part of the map on both sides, and the turrets are very effective. It's like a two-shot kill with the turrets. The only bad thing about it is you have to warm it up. Like, there's a short little like warm up, or like not cool down, but the opposite of that when you first use it. But after like 5 seconds of first getting on the turret, not even 5, after like 2 seconds of first starting up the turret, as long as you hold down LT, which keeps it turning, once you see someone, you can just start shooting and spray them down. And as long as they're in your line of sight, you can kill them, which means that if they want to go on the right or the left of you to get out of your line of sight, they'll have to go over a landmine field, which is very hard to avoid. So people usually focus on getting past the mines, but then if someone's camping on the right or the left and just watching them jump up in the air, they'll usually just shoot at them and they'll be dead, because you can't focus on jumping past mines that are very large. The minefield is very large, and shooting at someone at the same time. It's very hard to do that. So switching sides on this map is a pain in the ass. But besides that, I would have to say that this map plays very well. If there were no turrets, which I kind of find people would still camp up there with snipers or LMGs or something anyway, but if there were no turrets and there were no landmines, this map would probably be a lot smoother. But because those things are in the game, this map is probably not one of the better ones that you want to play on, because when those things are activated and when people do camp very hard, I found this map is so annoying to play on, because unlike, compounds where it's so small that when people camp, you can easily get behind them or like over them or, around them somehow. So you'll always be able to kill campers on compound because it's so small and tight knit, and there's so many people moving around. Even 6v6 seems like too much. Then with a map like Parliament, where when people camp, it's very obvious where they're camping because there's not a lot of camping spots. It might seem like it's a very tight, like close quarters map as well, and it's very like, there's a lot of stuff to hide behind and things like that. But even then, you can easily see when someone's camping because it's so open. Like, the Parliament itself is so open. While Kremlin, there is a lot of stuff. It's a large map. There's a lot of things to focus on. So when someone's camping, even though there are these vast open rooms and it might not seem so cluttered, it's very hard to find out when someone is camping in a corner, especially since sometimes people blend in with the environment, with the rubble, or the grayscale, or the snow, or something like that, or even just camping people in the windows and things like that. It's very hard to kill people because then you only have to kill them by going upstairs, but those stairs can be like trip mines and things like that, so I wouldn't even try it. This map is probably my second least favorite. Compound, I would have to say, is my favorite. Parliament is my second favorite. Kremlin is my third favorite. Wait, so what does that mean my least favorite map is? No, not that map. Yes, Skyrise. Skyrise is my least favorite map, and I will tell you why. So, we are up to Skyrise, which is the remake of High Rise, which I never understood why they did in this game, because here's the thing. They did a 1-to-1 rescaling of the whole map. Do you know what that means? That means this map is the exact same thing as the Modern Warfare 2 High Rise. And some people think this is a good thing. Some people think this plays well. Well, when I played High Rise, all I remembered were people quickscoping and sniping and camping and killing people like that by sitting on the bridge and things like that. Really dumb things, right? Well, they took that game and they made it where people can easily get to camping locations, and then they put it in. They skinned it. and they put it in. So in the office area, people boost all over the place. They can get down, they can boost on the ground, they can boost slide, so you can't even see them moving around. And then shooting them, you have to get headshots, and because they move so quickly, it's so hard to kill people. There's upper areas where you can camp on rooftops or very, very high windows where you can actually shoot down on people. If you play this map, you already know that. There's even a goddamn freaking, oh my god, there's a crane, which is so easy to get onto, to be completely honest. The roof and the crane are the easiest things in the world to get onto, and I hate them, because if someone has a sniper rifle and they're actually good at sniping, then they will pick off any person on the map. And people camp so much on this map, it's ridiculous. Like, I was saying how people can camp on Kremlin because of the map elements. This one, the only map elements it has is exploding barrels, but even this one has much more campers. And when people camp, the gameplay is so slow, but it's so annoying because there's snipers everywhere just sitting on rooftops. There's guys like sitting in little areas, like there's literally 2 elevators that serve no purpose except to be close, like tiny little rooms where people can look out, barely get shot, and pick off people as they run by in a little hallway. And here, the spawns are so messed up, just like Parliament, but worse, because this is the epitome of spawn where you aren't. And the reason why I say this is because people would spawn in the same goddamn building as me when all of my teammates were there, except for maybe one. Now, here, let me highlight the 2 buildings for you if you don't recognize this map. They'll be both in red. Now, see those buildings? Yeah, so I would have all my teammates in one of those buildings, and enemies would still spawn in it. It makes no sense. Or if they didn't spawn in it, they would still spawn in the underneath area, which you can kind of see is like that little hexagon that's kind of stretched out. That's an underground type of area, which has tunnels leading from both buildings. So you can actually flank underneath the 2 buildings. Sounds good, right? Well, people spawn down there underneath you, so they come up behind you and just start shooting in the back. Honestly, I've done this to other people, but when you play this game, you can accept things when it's happening to you and it's benefiting you, but when you're on the other side of it, it's a pain in the ass and you want it gone. Let's take the system hack for example. This map is like the goddamn system hack before it was patched. There was this annoying ass skull on your screen all the time you couldn't even see. And when you used it, you're like, oh thank god, they're going to have like 5 minutes of hell. Or not 5 minutes, but they're going to have a minute of hell on their screen forever, and they won't be able to avoid it. While when it got used on you, you're like, oh my god, fuck this streak, and then it gets used on you again, you're like, what? So, here, it's the same thing as the system hack. You hate it when people camp against you, and you hate it when you spawn behind enemies, but like when you do spawn behind enemies, and you're able to shoot them all in the back, like right when they're in the building, they're all in, and they don't think someone's going to spawn behind them in the back room, and you do, it's annoying, because when it happens to you, when you get shot in the back from a guy that spawned in the building your whole team is in, you get annoyed. And people camp everywhere on this map. That's what I really want to reiterate. People camp everywhere and the spawns are shit. This is the worst map out of the whole DLC. I mean, really, I'm giving this map like a rating of I would never play it if I got the option to, ever. So, there we go. Now, if this map was probably remade a little bit close, like it had more close quarter areas, there weren't so many camping spots that were so easy to get to, because it's easy to get to those spots, but getting people out of them is so annoying because there's so many little places for them to hide, and they know you're coming. Like, it's easier to kill someone in a camping spot when it's easier or harder to get to the camping spot than it is when it's easier to get to the camping spot. Because if it's easier to get to the camping spot, you might kill them, but they'll get right back there, or it's so easy to get there that they'll know how you have to get there, so they'll just kill you right away. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Exeter. That was my review of all 4 of these maps in the game. I actually went through them, my most favorite to my least favorite, so I would get more angry as it went through, and you guys kind of experienced my full rage when I started playing these maps. So, the more I played it, the more I hated it, and that's pretty much how I felt about it. So, if you guys don't see any good Skyrise gameplay while I'm doing this, that's why, because I couldn't get any because the people I was playing with were playing like shit asses. And you can quote me on that. They were playing like shit asses. So, thank you for watching, peace out, and goodbye.